You and I'm listening. This was a phrase that my yoga instructor this morning was encouraging us to say to ourselves silently throughout the yoga practice. And I hadn't wanted to go to yoga this morning because I was feeling kind of achy in my body and it just wasn't a good day for it. But I was like, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to do the gentle practice. And so throughout the practice, I kept thinking to myself, I'm having to go into child's pose. I'm having to pause here. I'm falling out of my poses. But I would just keep having that phrase, I love you and I'm listening. I'm listening to you, body, right? And so on the way back from my yoga class, before I came to be here with all of you, I was thinking about this last clarity workshop in the series. There's 6 of them. In order to support parents to make the right decisions for their family and determine if the Paradigm Shift program is the right fit for them. So I just kept thinking about this phrase in the shower and leading up to this moment. So I'm going to start and structure this live around that phrase. And feel free to borrow it for yourself, for your internal monologue, whenever you're feeling self-critical, which is, I love you and I'm listening. Okay, so let's start with love. So you are the reason I designed this program, and I am the reason I designed this program because it is essentially everything that I wish I had 5 years ago, 4 years ago. It is designed to support your child, but it is only through you as the catalyst that we see the type of transformational change that I know your family needs. Okay, so it is truly designed around you as a parent, and all of my work is. So what type of transformation are we talking about in this program? It's a 3-month program, and it's a long-term program. So the types of tiny transformations and shifts that I want to share with you are from previous alumni through different cohorts that have gone through this program, because I think often we're looking for these big glamorous transformations of okay, my kid wasn't going to school and now they're going to school, or, now they no longer look autistic, or they stop stimming, which is not necessarily, as you go through these tiny transformations, something that you'll even want once you go through it. So let me tell you some examples. A mom posting a video in the shared community of her son sitting with her and holding her hand for the first time in 2 years while watching television together. Okay, so for a lot of parents, that's not going to seem like a big deal, but for a parent, myself included, whose child has not voluntarily made physical contact or shown affection physically to their parent in 2 years, that is a glimmer and a very significant transformation. Asking to touch your food for the first time when they have been avoiding food and gagging or vomiting when they're even near the kitchen or near you eating. Being able to name the threat response, even if the child is only 5 years old, having the tools to, and many parents don't believe that this will be possible, but having the tools to guide them to, without shame or negative self-concept, come up with a name for their threat response. Like my son's name is Venom. And so hearing from parents about what their child named their threat response. These are tiny transformations that parents get in the 3 months that we're live together. For a teen, it might be leaving their bedroom and sitting in the room with you for the first time in what you can remember, because they're in burnout. And it doesn't mean they're talking to you. It just means they're sitting in the room. Okay, so these are the tiny transformations, the micro steps that parents see when they're committing to a long-term approach, which is what this is. Okay, so the program itself is designed to get you these moments of connection to improve your child's basic needs over years. What do I mean by basic needs? Toileting, sleep, accessing hygiene, safety and eating, and nervous system health. Okay, so it's designed around their mental health, well-being, self-concept, and ability to manage their disability, and how you can facilitate that over the course of their lifetime. Okay, so that's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in the 3 months that we're together, but it will give you the foundation and the practice to move you through this paradigm shift, which is why I call it a paradigm shift program. Okay, so what do I want for you in the long term? So as I said, the transformation I want for your child or teen, I say child to include like a 2-year-old all the way up to a 35-year-old, because I've had both. Hi, everybody, in my programs and coaching containers, so it doesn't exclude teens. But what I want for your family is long-term mental health, healthy self-concept, connection, well-being. Okay? For you, okay, so that transformation is for your kid, but the other 3 transformations, as I said, are about you, because I designed this program for you more than anything. I want you to have clarity on exactly what and why is going on inside of your child's body, leading to the behaviors that are befuddling and challenging. I also want you to have complete clarity through the emotions and trauma that you're experiencing of the next right step for your family. And I know that parents are applying these methods and tools and mindsets for themselves. I know that they're like going to be successful. Why? Not because they're doing what I did, because they're applying it to their situation and they are tuning into their data and intuition about their child and applying the frameworks to make the next right decision for their family. Not because I did it a particular way, or because someone in the PDA support group on Facebook told them they should, or because of a pediatrician or a therapist. Part of this program has nothing to do with PDA or children. It has to do with you having the opportunity to forge your own path and to actually experience a different identity as a parent. Because I know from personal experience that many of us have felt like shit. We have felt crazy. We have felt incapable. And what I want you to feel at the end of this program is resourcefulness, empowerment, strength, capacity to make your own decisions, and freedom from the pressure that you feel from everyone else, okay? Which is why we include an entire module on like why it's so hard to set boundaries with others, why it's so difficult to communicate, not because you don't know how, but because of what it activates in your body, because you've had a history of fawning or people pleasing, and we need to interrogate that, okay? So these are the things that I want for you out of love, right? And then the next part, I love you and I'm listening. The second part is listening, okay? So why did I redesign this entire paradigm shift program over the summer? Because I got feedback. And I'll just be honest with that for all the previous cohorts. So this is going to be the 6th time I've run the cohort. I've worked with hundreds of families who have received transformations around what I just said and have given me feedback in the feedback forms of like, this was life affirming, it's totally transformed things. However, Casey, it's too much information. I don't have time to process it in 3 months. I can't be live every time with you because I'm in a different time zone or because I'm just raising a PDA child or teen. Okay, so I completely redesigned the program based on this feedback from you, because you're the person who will benefit from it, which means, what did I do? After I got over my my own people-pleasing tendencies and perfectionism and was like, it's okay to get feedback, that we need to change some things because you're here to serve, then I got over myself and I was like, I'm going to redesign the program. So what did I do? I made it hybrid. Okay, so everything used to be completely live. However, we have people participating from all over the world. And I understand that you guys are often with your children, obviously, especially if they can't go to school. So there are now, every teaching video is self-paced. It's 85 short videos with captions and transcripts so that you can process it on your own time, in your own country, on your own time zone, with your different and unique brain. Okay, the second thing I did was created a members only podcast so you can process all of the Q&As from previous cohorts in 3 to 5 minute chunks in your earbuds on the way to the grocery store. Next, I created an onboarding book and have more admin support to help parents actually use the online learning portal, which is in a web platform called Kajabi. It's really great. However, it's a new technology, and I personally hate learning new technologies, And I know that 4 years ago, I would have been frustrated trying to learn how to log into a new learning portal. So we have an onboarding book that will guide you through it, as well as more admin support. So I love you and I'm listening. And it could change, it could evolve. If you have already gone through the program, I'm really excited to share with you the new version. If you buy it now and I update it later, you will still receive all the materials. So that is basically the why behind what I'm doing and how I've designed the program. Tomorrow is when we open for enrollment at noon Eastern time, so I'm super excited. I can't wait to open up the doors and see who rolls in. I'm really excited. So if you are watching on Instagram or another platform like Facebook and have not gotten on the wait list and would like to guarantee your spot, or at least have a much higher chance of getting a spot, I would recommend getting on the wait list, because enrollment will be open only to the wait list for the first 2 days. And if we do have more spots, we will open it on August 11th to the public. Okay, so this is my last live in the Clarity series, and I want to open it up to you to ask any questions about the program that you have, or the way that I approach families, or my methodology, or anything of the sort. Okay, great question, Kaylee. Okay, so the price is the following: $1,197. You can break it down into a payment plan of $399 for 3 months, and then you have lifetime access to every pre-recorded masterclass, workshop, or course that I've done. You'll have access to an alumni community and all the videos and PDFs and members-only podcasts that I will be continually updating each cohort. So it really is lifetime access, although there will be a live component with me and with 2 other beautiful parent coaches who will be moderating the online community. And there will be each week for 12 weeks a 90-minute to 2-hour Q&A and spot coaching with me. And I've doubled the number of those because parents really love them because we apply all the concepts and we work through the stickiness together in real time. Parents who have submitted questions come off mute. And I prioritize those that are related to the modules and what we're actually working on together in implementation. And we'll actually do a spot coaching for around 20 minutes. So that is the deets. All right, I'm going to go back to the beginning and see if people have questions. It's so good to see you guys. Been wearing the same shirt for 7 days for my lives. If you purchase the program, this is the shirt you will see. I've had to go to the dry cleaners once or twice. I know my daughter has trauma. Her sister had cancer and spent over 7 months in the pediatric intensive care unit. I'm so sorry. That must have been traumatic for you as well. I do also believe she has PDA. Do you think this program will still be helpful? Meredith Mommy. Okay, so one of these Clarity workshops I actually did on trauma and PDA because it often overlaps. Not always in the way that you're describing of a observable event that has a before and after, but because the neurodivergent brain has a landscape that is more prone to trauma, and PDA children have a sensitive nervous system to begin with. So in terms of does that dynamic matter? I think absolutely. I would encourage you to go back and watch that particular live. It is here on my tiles and also on YouTube. In terms of whether or not it's the right fit. So this has less to do with where you are in your journey in terms of how long you've known about PDA, and more the degree to which you feel ready to shift your lens and your identity as a parent and really transform the paradigm through which, or the way in which you perceive yourself, your child, and parenting and caregiving. And so really it's for anyone who's ready to take those steps, even if it feels sticky, right? Even if it feels ugh. the only people I would say isn't the right fit for are those that don't like me. I mean, obviously, like, don't purchase a program where you're hanging out with me for a long time, because I'm going to be there. But all kidding aside, I would say, you know, if you're at a place where you're so burned out and you're so in crisis that you won't actually be able to take the materials and apply them and participate, I would say, you know, reflect on that and wait until you feel like you're ready to take that step. I will be offering it again for purchase in December, and we'll be starting in January. So yeah, I would follow your gut in terms of like, I'm ready to get unstuck. This is for me. Let's take this next step. Let's do this. If that's the vibe, like, come on in. If you're like, ooh, I don't think I can actually watch this, and like, I'm feeling all this demand avoidance and like too triggered, then be like, you know what? She planted the seed. I know it's out there. It's going to be there, and I'll invest in it when I feel ready. That would be my suggestion, Meredith. Okay. My own therapist recommended your page for helping me work with my daughter's PDA. Signed up for the wait list and hope to get on it. Oh, I hope so too. Yeah, I mean, I said this yesterday, but like, it's not like a New York City trying to get into preschool vibe of like, you have to be like refreshing. Cause I lived in DC and New York, and I remember like trying to get into swim class and being like, ah, so it's not like that. But if you are on the wait list, I would recommend purchasing before I open up to the public. So I'm excited to see you. Is there a payment plan through a firm? Third-party finance? I do not manage that. If there is, we do work with organizations, therapy clinics, NDIS, certain Canadian governments, but what we provide is an invoice for reimbursement. There are some case managers that have reached out to our admin team, and that's more of a case-by-case basis depending on how that is financed. But in terms of like us having like a particular payment plan outside of you using your credit card, no. Is it clear what I should be watching, when and in what order? I feel like I can't keep up with the podcast and the Instagram reels. Okay. Bombal. So this is the great thing. Okay, podcasts and Instagram reels are awesome. You can DIY a lot. However, it's like whatever's popping into my brain that day. It's not organized into a framework that's logical, that's broken down into a sequence. It's like each individual reel is, but the way that those come out are not in the order of what will transform your family. I have a 5A framework, and so everything follows particular modules. There's a schedule to it. There's an onboarding document. There are particular videos that I hope that if you want to ask questions, you engage with per the weeks that we're going through. And then there are extras that you can autonomously look to or search in the repository of the podcast episodes to find your particular questions. But the concepts and what we're working on are logically structured. It is a program that I've designed. It's not just like me riffing on TikTok. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's like a very different service that I provide. It's more like 1-minute snippets that I have time to share with you guys. This is so amazing. I'm going to make the goal to save for the next round with you. Awesome. I'm so happy. Kaylee, I would love to see you. Also, you can reach out to our admin team at journey@peaceparents.com if you would like to apply for a scholarship. We do at least 10 each round, and this is for BIPOC, disabled, single, and or low-income families. So feel free to do that and jump on that list, and we'd love to have you. I did watch that one, but obviously I can't pull it apart. Okay, well it was a little bit dense. That one, the benefit of the program is like, I have a video or more on trauma and PDA, and I have a podcast episode on that, and they're broken down into like short little concepts. So you can rewatch the video, you can like share it with your partner and just like refer back to, because you're going to have a library of them. And like a lot of these things it's like peeling back onion layers, right? And I believe this too for myself. Like I'm always coming back to radical acceptance and reframes and reminding myself of the same things that I teach you guys because it's a practice, right? So it's not like we just watch one video and get it. And that's why we have this opportunity in a large cohort of other families doing the same thing, connecting with each other and supporting each other. And it's not a support group in the sense of like, we're all going to be like, and I feel strongly about this because I wanted to create something that's different than a lot of the open Facebook groups that have like gold nuggets hidden beneath despair. Like where it's like you want to go find the information, but there's like really scary stories about violence and parents having like a really hard time in the sense of like, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with that. I know often when I first started on those Facebook groups, which I had to get off of because they were too triggering, it was like you saw the extremes, right? You saw only the people who were having the hardest time, and there wasn't enough light or hopefulness or action of like, okay, I tried this is what came up for me, and then other people can help you move forward or give you ideas. And that's the vibe that we have in this program. And I think it's really special. And like part of that is me pushing a little bit in the same way I do in coaching containers of like, you're here with me because you want to get unstuck. And that requires going into some triggery, sticky, icky places. And of course, we're going to like wrap it up with love and support, but we don't want to like fall down the abyss of negativity, which is what you can see in a community that's not protected and mindful and like has the moderators trained on the values of the community itself, right? Which is like, I just did my onboarding call with my 2 coaches. Like we're all on the same page for the environment that we want to create for parents, because again, I designed this to be what I didn't see 4 years ago and what I needed, right? Okay. Is there any interactive or one-on-one time with yourself on the course? No. I do not do one-on-one in the course. There will be at least 100 other families. I only do coaching by application, and that has a wait list for at least 6 months. So this is my only current live option. The one-on-one that you might have is like if you submit questions that are pertaining to the topic, and this is how I decide what to answer. How closely related to the topic at hand it is. How needle moving is the question. So part of this is learning to ask yourself questions of like, if someone's just like, help, I can't deal with siblings. It's like, that's not a helpful question to answer, because it's like, where do you even start? Versus, and this is in the onboarding book, like to teach you how to ask questions. And I'm going to be a more of a stickler for it in the beginning, because it's when people are learning the concepts and they build on one another. And then I'm going to be prioritizing not having the same parents repeat over and over. So if I select your question, you will have the opportunity to come off mute and do a one-on-one publicly with me, where I will coach you, right? But that is different than me co-regulating and coaching in a private container with a household where there's like usually 2 parents, sometimes a caregiver, and it's a very different vibe. This is not a small group coaching program. But actually, I think that's great, because the whole purpose is to teach you how to do this so that you don't need me, right? Like to teach you the skills and the way of asking questions and the tools and how to implement and how to think like a scientist and collect data, so that at the end of 3 months, you feel capable and resourceful and are like, actually, I don't need Casey, right? So that's the vibe there. Because if you're always looking to me for answers, then you're not actually moving forward in your identity as a parent, because you are just as capable as I am. We are almost 5 years from her PICU stay. I'm not in crisis now, thank goodness. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah. Like if you were in health crisis. And of course, like, things come up. Like, if a family, usually every cohort, there's like one family that's like, you know, had a stress-induced stroke. Okay, you get your money back, or you do the live program the next cohort, or like a mom unfortunately had to go into hospitalization. Like, unfortunately, these are the things that happen with the level of stress that we have as parents with PDA children without institutional support. Of course, if something like that comes up, you will be refunded, or we can move your spot to the next cohort. So shit happens. I understand. But I do ask that as parents are making these decisions, they're thinking to themselves, am I in a place to make this investment and commit the time to it, right? And it can totally be on your own time. And you might process like 1/3 of the videos or just pieces of them and then go back to it a year later and go deeper, or watch them together with your partner, right? So it's like, it's a foundational course. As a family of 2 parents with comorbid ADHD, will there be a specific suggestion for those of us that are neurodivergent parents that may struggle more than typical parents to apply these learnings? Okay, so for my ADHD parents, I'll just be totally honest with you. The thing I want to add that I haven't added is more like a 1-page visual takeaway for each of the 85 videos. I have not yet added that because it's been like a behemoth effort to do this over the summer. I have added more visuals in my presentation, and there are captions, and there are transcripts, and there are podcast episodes that we're going to make for the videos. And it's very structured, but also imbued with autonomy for you going your own pace. But in terms of like, is there a ton of visual handouts? No, there's not yet. So I was really thinking with more like autistic and PDA identifying parents in mind, although in my coaching I work with a lot of ADHD parents. In the program, in the community, there will be one of the coaches is PDA identifying herself. So, you know, a lot of the tools I bring to neurodivergent parents or parents with sensitive nervous systems or high anxiety like me are more designed around developing awareness and bringing self-compassion to your own activation around applying the tools. But if it's designed specifically for ADHD brains with lots of visuals, I have not gotten there yet. So I'm just being totally transparent, right? So that's what I would say for that. How did your child get diagnosed? I had to advocate for it, and that's one of the things that I will teach in that program. How do you incorporate a PDA approach with ABA therapy? It is very, very difficult because, okay, this is why it's called a paradigm shift program, because we're moving from the foundation of most therapy and parenting, which is premised on rewards and sanction, exposure, and conditioning your child, to letting go of that entirely. And so it's kind of mutually exclusive to take a PDA approach and be doing ABA therapy. That's at the same time, because everything is cumulative in your child's nervous system, like let's say this is their threshold of tolerance. If you're completely accommodating at home, but they're at ABA or school where it's more behavioral, you might be able to lower the activation so that it's not disabling them, but ultimately over the long term, the point of the program is making a paradigm shift out of a behavioral approach. So again, the reason we're here, it's not that there's any judgment there for you, and this is a seed that I'm just planting, but if you are a parent who's like, I really need to stick with ABA because of your finances, the insurance coverage, because it feels like it's right for you right now, then I would recommend waiting before you invest in a program like this, because I'm going to be telling you, I'm going to be teaching you how to unlearn the behavioral paradigm, like truly unlearn it. And so we don't want to enter into a space that feels too triggering or like you're not ready for that. Okay? Sorry, my question wasn't clear. I wasn't sure how the payments were broken out. I saw the flat rate, but then also $399. Okay, so this round, it's just everybody does a payment plan. Everybody pays $399 for 3 months. August, because you're going to buy tomorrow if you're on the wait list and that's what you want. August, September, October, and then you're done. So I just wanted to put the total so it was clear what the total is, but it's right now our only option is 3-month payments of $399. I hope that clarifies. How would we connect to other parents? Is it a private Facebook group or how does it happen? Great question. Okay, so my web hosting platform is called Kajabi, which is kind of like Teachable, but it's more comprehensive. And so there is a community that is part of that web hosting platform. It's a Kajabi community. So it is kind of like a Facebook forum in the sense that like there are what's called circles. So it's like each module of the program is going to go through like awareness, acceptance, accommodations. And so there will be areas of the private group that are specific to what we're working on. And there will be an emotional witnessing circle. So if like you just need to express something and get the support of the community, you can in that circle. But it's going to be primarily based around taking action and like learning. So it is like a private Facebook group, but it's actually housed in Kajabi. It will be on your online learning portal, and this is in the onboarding book. And then that's the same platform that you're going to be moved to after the 3 months into an alumni version of that, which will include parents from other cohorts. And then some families have created their own Slack groups or private Facebook groups after the program because they preferred to connect that way in the cohort, and that's totally cool too. It's just, I really don't love Facebook, just to be honest. As I said before, I found it really triggering, and so like I have run programs that had Facebook, but it just wasn't my favorite way to do things, and it felt more private to do it in Kajabi. Okay. Hooray! Okay. All right, everybody. It was so good to be here with you all. I can't wait to see you tomorrow when we open the cart at noon. And if you're on the wait list, you will get sent a link right before it opens and an email saying like, hey, we're open. And for those of you who aren't on the wait list, I will announce it here and probably on my email list, etc. On the web platform, are you able to tell where families are from so geographically close can connect with one another? So I was going to do... So even though I'm not going to be like in the community every day, I was going to do reflection questions and prompts. And like the first prompt I'm going to do is like, introduce yourself. Where are you from? How old is your kid? So that is, a way to see where other people are. If I'm seeing that there might be a need for it, I did this the last cohort, I could create like Australian families or, UK families and West Coast families, but it just depends on like what the dynamics are. Okay, it was so good to be with you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay,